The Sacred Fold, Cryptic Mycology and Christian Iconography. The history of Western art is often viewed through the lens of aesthetic evolution, moving from the flat symbolism of the medieval era to the dramatic realism of the Renaissance. However, when viewed through the perspective of ethnomycology, specifically the theories of John Allegro regarding the fungal origins of early Christianity, a hidden narrative emerges. This narrative isn't always found in the overt subjects of the paintings, but rather in the accidental geometry of the world they inhabit. Most notably, the evidence is hidden in plain sight within the complex folds of the garments worn by the Madonna and Christ. The Allegro Framework, Language and Image. John Allegro's 1970 work, The Sacred Mushroom and the Cross, argued that the New Testament was a coded document designed to preserve the cult of the Amanita Muscaria during a time of Roman persecution. If the text was coded, it stands to reason that the visual tradition followed suit. While a painter might be forbidden from depicting a psychoactive fungus directly on an altar, the laws of naturalism provided the perfect cover: the heavy drapery of a robe, the shadow of a sleeve, or the hem of a tablecloth offered a canvas where the forbidden anatomy of the mushroom could be rendered under the guise of fabric. 2. The Madonna's Sleeve, a study in shadow. In the late works of Tiziano Vecellio, such as his 1558 Crucifixion, we see a departure from rigid lines into a style of magic impressionism. In this fluid environment, the folds of the Madonna's blue mantle become more than structural. Looking specifically at the left sleeve of the Virgin, the deep shadows and sudden highlights form a silhouette that is unmistakably fungal. There is a rounded, domed cap, formed by a highlight that sits perfectly atop a vertical stem of shadow. This isn't merely a coincidence of light. It is a recurring morphological ghost. In ethnomycology, these are seen as signatures, intentional placements that signal to the initiated that the mother of the faith is herself a vessel for the ancient fungal arcana. 3. The architecture of the table Saint-Savant. The Romanesque period offers perhaps the most literal evidence. In the Abbey of Saint-Savant-sur-Gartempe, the fresco of the Last Supper features a tablecloth that acts as a linguistic bridge between the meal and the earth. The bottom hem of the cloth is decorated with a repeating pattern. Unlike standard geometric frets or floral scrolls, this pattern consists of distinct vertical stipes supporting rounded caps. This repeating motif grounds the entire scene of the Eucharist. If the bread on the table, often rendered at Saint-Savant with the same umbrella-like curvature, represents the body of Christ, then the mushroom skirts of the tablecloth suggest that the very foundation of this sacred meal is rooted in the mycological. IV. The mushroom skirt from Minoan to Madonna. The mushroom skirt is a concept that transcends the Christian era, reaching back to Minoan, Lady of the Labyrinth imagery, where flounced skirts mimic the gills and tears of fungi. In Christian iconography, this evolved into the sacred fold. When we see Christ or the Madonna depicted with heavy, undulating garments, the folds often terminate in shapes that mirror the Amanita's profile. This technique allows the artist to bypass the censors of the Inquisition or the Church. A fold in a sleeve is just a fold to the unobservant, but to the researcher it is a preserved relic of a suppressed tradition. Versus conclusion, unfolding the Arcana. To dismiss these shapes as mere over-analysis is to ignore the meticulous nature of liturgical art. For centuries, artists were trained to believe that every brushstroke served a theological purpose. By centering our analysis on the folds of the fabric, we uncover a tradition of hidden-in-plain-sight symbolism that supports Allegro's vision. The Madonna's grief and Christ's sacrifice are the public faces of the faith, but the fabric of their reality, quite literally the clothes on their backs, carries the silhouette of the mushroom. As we move into 2026, the task of the researcher is to continue unfolding these garments, revealing that the fungal arcana was never lost. It was simply draped in the velvet and linen of the masters.